jerseys. But there seems to be a problem, and Al Trolling is explaining it.
So let me get this straight. Tony Campbell couldn't get the jersey number he wanted?
No, see, he wore 19 when he was with Minnesota, and of course Willis Reed was 19, so that's up on the rafters. He couldn't have that, so that's all part of the confusion as far as, so if you want to buy the jersey, you got to get the Campbell jersey with
confusion over numbers rather than eavesdrop. Let's really find out what Al's explanation is all about.
So, you have a favorite number, and you're a new member of the New York Knicks. We'll take this one case at a time. First witness is former pitch star Charles Smith, and Exhibit A is the fact that he wore 54 with the LA Clippers. And the jury has ruled that as Mr. Smith goes to New York, he can keep that number. There is no disturbance of history here, for the last Knick to wear those big digits was the People's Choice Greg Butler, who just missed returning to this year's Knicks squad. This is not a number of great lineage either. No Knick wore it until Howard Porter in 1974. Next witness is a doctor of sorts who, while in Tinseltown, wore the quarter, number 25. And Doc Rivers, who brings with him to New York a variety of experience and a desire to keep the number, and the history of the Knicks will allow him to do just that. He will wear number 25 at the point of this year's Knicks team, because most recently, the number was worn by Bill Cartwright. And while all respect is due to Mr. Bill, championship rings and all, only 3 Knicks have worn the number. And we're not talking Hall of Fame for Milt Williams, Mr. Bill, or Jim Barnett, who had that number stitched on his back 16 years ago. Double digits are always popular, and that's a word the Knicks would love to have used to describe Hubert Davis, their hot-shooting top draft pick from North Carolina. No problem here, for as much as we like Larry Fogel, Glenn Gondrusek, or Mike Woodson, no long-standing mark has been left by those who wore the number. Sidney Green's presence was felt for only 2 seasons. Before him, there was Juwan Oldham, and that was only for 1 pass through the schedule. And before Len Elmore, Paul Westphal came east to wear the double 4s, and while we liked him, it wasn't for long, so give it to Hubert. That brings us to Rolando Blackman, and as you can see, this is a double-deuce dilemma, because in Dallas for the decade plus, he was there, he was number 22, and we've got a big problem here due to the efforts of a man named DeBusschere, whose rebounding, shooting, and spirit led to a banner being hung from the roof of the Garden. No, there'll never be another Knickerbocker to wear number 22. So, at the press conference that celebrated addition, the Knicks subtracted 2 and gave Rowe 2-0. The Brooklyn native said he knew immediately when he was traded that 22 was out of the question. And as a result of him wearing number 20, there will be few tremors in the foundation of the franchise. For in addition to Kenny Sears, Bill Hoskett, and Eugene, not Martin Short, James Bailey and Michael Ray Richardson wore number 20. But Michael Ray's term in New York was only 4 seasons. Laying no claim to the number, we've got no problem with Rowe getting the digits. The next new numerical Knick problem comes from Minnesota, and it is only a numerical problem because Tony Campbell brings more solutions, but he can't have 19. Need we explain that it's because of the performances of one Willis Reed, whose exploits of the 60s and 70s gave the Knicks the championship banners today, and the one that retired his number in 1976. It is then the decision of the court that Mr. Tony Campbell of Teaneck, New Jersey, will search for his place in Knick history wearing number 9. Tracing the footsteps of, ironically, 9 others: Richie Guerin, Ernie Vandeweghe, and most recently, Randy Smith. Eric Anderson wore number 32 for Bobby Knight and the Hoosiers, but he will not be the 3rd Knick after Jerry Lucas and Gerard Mustaf to wear that number, instead getting 42, joining Spencer Haywood and Pat Cummings as those to wear a 4, followed by a 2. Next, the case of Bo Kimball, who with the LA Clippers wore 30, the same number Bernard King once wore in New York. That may be one of the reasons why this former Loyola Marymount star will have a 16 on his Knicks uniform, and that has been a busy Knick number in years past. From Kenny Mayfield to Allie McGuire, Al's son and Dick's nephew, 16 started in the 40s with Bud Palmer and continues with Bo. Finally, the story of Greg Anthony, who, like Stacey Augmon and Larry Johnson, wore a 2 in his rookie year salute to Jerry Tarkanian. Even in preseason, his number was 2, but as the regular season begins, he switches to the football look of 50. For the record, the last Knick to wear the same was Joe C. Merriweather.
history.
And you really understand, Bruce, when players start talking about numbers, which ones understand the history of the franchise and which ones don't. In Rolando Blackman, the Knicks have someone who understands the Knicks very well.
Speaking of history, number 10 is up next, and you don't have to look too far around here to know that's Walt Clyde Frazier. His thoughts on Magic Johnson when we come back.
Fire, and then when I got, I used to play French horn, and when I started hanging with my orchestra and band people, I got into Stanley Clark, Jean-Luc Ponty, Noel Pointer, more instrumentalist. Yeah, I guess.
Inside with Pride is brought to you by the Discover card. It pays to discover. The card that pays you back.
No NBA news has been bigger and more controversial in recent weeks than the ongoing story of Magic Johnson, who has been making the talk show circuit talking about why he retired and sharing thoughts about his lifestyle as a player. Magic's decision to retire was triggered by pressure from several current NBA players, including the outspoken Karl the Mailman Malone. Magic responded to Malone's comments with his own words on ABC's Prime Time Live. There's the look of Karl Malone's words about Magic Johnson, and Gerald Wilkins, another former Knick, who talked about playing against Magic Johnson and the consequences. Once again, let's listen to Magic and his thoughts as he shared them with Chris Wallace.
It's like I'm hurt. You're hurt inside, not at him, at the fact that I won't get a chance to play because of what he said. You understand? But I'm not going to now take it out on him because I understand that he has to look out for himself. But it's too bad it's at my expense.
Well, Clyde Frazier joins me now. And Clyde, some reaction to the Magic Johnson saga. First of all, do you think he was forced out by the ball players?
I think so, Bruce. I think he was hurt. Because when you play basketball, the people within your circle, you view them as a family. So when your family speaks out, it hurts you more than someone else doing that. But I think it's a tremendous defeat for AIDS victims because Magic had brought this to world attention. And now for him to walk away this way, I think it's going to really hurt that cause.
Clyde, if you were a ball player playing today, would you play against Magic Johnson?
Yeah, if the commissioner approved it, then I would be compelled to play. What baffles me is Malone played with him during the Dream Team, and he never complained. And now all of a sudden he thinks it's a problem to play against Magic.
Do you think there should be mandatory AIDS testing in the NBA?
Well, because we're in the United States, that will never happen. Like drug testing will never be mandatory. But I think so, but it's easy for me to say that because obviously I don't have it, so I couldn't really say. It's very ambivalent when you talk about AIDS because you are not affected when you don't have something. You can always be more lenient than if you were suffering from it.
Clyde, it's been the biggest story in the NBA recently. We thank you for sharing some thoughts with us on it, and we'll see you at halftime.
Okay, Bruce.
Well, once again, this is opening night at Madison Square Garden, and over the years, it has also provided some other big news. The 76ers on this date, 1986, retired uniform number 24 in honor of Bobby Jones. Coming up next, opening night highlights at the Sports Desk.
Hi, everybody. Mike Crispino at the MSG Sports Desk. Even with Magic Johnson off the NBA court forever now, it is not likely he'll be far from the headlines. An East Lansing woman has filed a suit against Johnson, claiming and charging that he infected her with the HIV virus.
On June 12, 1991, our client discovered that she had the virus. She contacted Mr. Johnson in July of 1991. She wrote him a long letter in August in 1991.
You know, I can't talk about the lawsuit because Howard, my attorney, is going to handle all the questions there. But you know that people are always going to come out. That just happens. You know, anytime there's dollars involved, they came out before this. So, you know, it's just going to happen. That's a part of it. We have talked about it, we being Cookie and I. We know it's a part of it. We got to deal with it. And you just got to wait till you're not the news anymore. Right now, I am the news. I understand that, and I deal with it.
Keeping the magical smile on Magic Johnson's face may be more difficult as time goes on. Well, if last night is any indication, the Nets could be a factor in the Eastern Conference. They played a game in Philadelphia, and granted, the Sixers won't be a contender this year, but it's never easy on the NBA road to win, and the Nets did. They won a game last night they probably would not have won last year under Bill Fitch. Chuck Daly made a difference, and so did Kenny Anderson. Starting point guard Anderson with a key steal late in the game, under 2 minutes, got his team back within 1 point. And Derek Coleman, who shot just 5 of 15, hit a key jump shot and followed it up with great defense on Hersey Hawkins in the final seconds to preserve a 3-point Nets victory. The once mighty Pistons may be missing Chuck Daly before too long. Detroit opened in the Palace, losing to the Bucks last night, losing sight of the basket all night, shooting just 31%. Isaiah Thomas was 4 of 25. They couldn't find the ocean. The Pistons scored just 34 points in the second half en route to an 86-81 loss to Milwaukee. Chicago Bulls served notice on opening night. It won't be easy to unseat the defending champions. They were in Cleveland against the Cavaliers and trailing most of the first half. Watch what happens as Mark Price's shot goes awry. Craig Elo tracks it down, bombs in a three-pointer, gives Cleveland a 1-point lead. But 1.8 seconds remaining, plenty of time for Michael Jordan to go to work, and Jordan does. After Phil Jackson rips the ref, Jordan takes the pass, pumps in a jump shot.
I think everybody's a little pumped at Madison Square Garden. The buzzer just sounded and the crowd cheers. They're now rising for the national anthem, which will be performed by pop singer John Cicada here at Madison Square Garden on opening night.
SBK recording artist John Cicada.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the brave.
John Cicada with a voice as versatile as the Knicks hope to be on the floor tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. And now in a very special ceremony, you're about to be introduced to the Hertz lineups for tonight's game between the Sixers and the Knicks. Mike Walshevsky at the Madison Square Garden microphone.
Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Tonight's home opener features the Philadelphia 76ers and your New York Knicks. And now for tonight's introductions, first, the Philadelphia 76ers. At 5'7" from Trenton State, number 3, Greg Grant. At 6'2" from Duke, number 12, Johnny Dawkins. At 6'11" from NC State, number 17, Charles Shackelford. At 6'7" from Fresno State, number 20, Ron Anderson. At 6'8" from Louisville, number 21, Kenny Payne. At 6'9" from Temple, number 23, Tim Perry. At 6'10" from Gardner Webb, number 45, Eddie Lee Wilkins. Here's the starting lineup for the Sixers. At guard at 6'4" from Iowa State, number 14, Jeff Hornacek. At guard at 6'3" from Bradley, number 33, Hersey Hawkins. At forward at 6'7" from Southern Mississippi, number 30, Clarence Weatherspoon. At forward at 6'9" from UNLV, number 35, Armin Gilliam. And at center at 6'11" from Arkansas, number 28, Andrew Lang. The trainer is Mike Abdenor. Assistant coaches Fred Carter, Tony DeLeo, and David Moe. And the head coach is Doug Moe. Injured and not playing tonight, Manute Bol. Now, please welcome your New York Knicks. At 6'9" from Indiana, number 42, Eric Anderson. At 6'5" from North Carolina, number 44, Hubert Davis. 6'4" from Loyola Marymount, number 16, Bo Kimbo. At 6'2" from UNLV, number 50, Greg Anthony. At 6'10" from Pittsburgh, number 54, Charles Smith. At 6'6" from Kansas State, number 20, Rolando Blackman. At 6'7" from Tennessee State, number 14, Anthony Mason. And now the starters for tonight's game. At guard at 6'4" from Marquette, number 25, Doc Rivers. At guard at 6'5" from Oklahoma State, number 3, John Starks. At forward at 6'7" from Ohio State, number 9, Tony Campbell. At forward at 6'9" from Virginia Union, number 34, Charles Oakley. And at center at 7 feet from Georgetown, number 33, Patrick Ewing. The assistant trainer is Jim Walsh. The head trainer, Mike Saunders. Assistant coaches Dick Carter and Jeff Van Gundy. Head coach for the Knicks, Pat Riley. Ladies and gentlemen, your 1992-93 New York Knicks.
Well, I don't think there are too many people right now who aren't sitting in their seats going, wow. And what about the feeling of one very special member of the Knicks? If you're waiting out his time in Dallas and thinking about all those days when he played on the playgrounds of East Flatbush in Brooklyn, Rolando Blackman finally gets a chance to wear the colors of his favorite team. And prior to the tip, in which will not involve him at the start, he'll introduce us to his feelings about coming home.
Well, what I'm thinking about basically is just to come out and really have a good basketball game and make my family, who will be in Section 115, really, really happy and very, very proud. It's a great time to be wearing a Knicks uniform and being back in a town where I learned the game of basketball, so I'm feeling really good about that.
26 tickets, $1,000. Rolando said, I won't be doing that very often, but it's opening night. Why not?
Al, that was the most exciting opening I've ever witnessed at Madison Square Garden. That was super. I hope that continues throughout the year.
I don't know. Can they do that every night?
Look very expensive.
The officials for tonight's game on your screen. A very different look to these Philadelphia 76ers. And we will look at the opening tip through the upper deck trading card cam. No man better in the NBA at winning these opening tips than Patrick Ewing. Against Andrew Lang, and he claims it for the Knicks. It'll be Doc Rivers with John Starks. Jeff Hornacek guarding Doc Rivers at the start. Starks for Campbell. Inside, then outside again. Hornacek on the rebound. He's at guard with Hersey Hawkins. Clarence Weatherspoon, Andrew Lang, and Armand Gilliam up front, and the rookie from Southern Mississippi gets this thing started in the right way for Philadelphia.
What a perfect break run by Hornacek. Stopped at the foul line and found the open man.
Starks. Knicks off target on the outset. Big rebound inside by Oakley. That'll be his role, and if last night was any indication, he'll be able to function well in that role. Ewing lost the ball.
Well, they converged on him, and he didn't react quickly enough to that.
Armand Gilliam still with his trademark sloping hairstyle out for Andrew Lang, who saw no action in the preseason due to injury. Oakley, touchdown for Starks.
It was Doc Rivers, though, who made it happen. He reached in, stole that ball, just like Hornacek did to Ewing.
Armand Gilliam way outside. Sixers watching the Nets come from behind late in the game and losing a three-pointer last night at home, and Jeff Hornacek gives the Sixers a 4-2 lead.
You know, Doug Moe, with all his talk about no plays, wants his team to get a very quick start. Ewing on that turnaround from a very comfortable position. Very important for the Sixers to come out here and dent the Knicks with their hometown enthusiasm. You know the start they want in this game they want it to be a big one. And the Sixers are answering very nicely here in the opening moments.
Hersey Hawkins, the former Bradley star. Lang out there with another member of the Phoenix Suns a year ago, Hornacek, and there's Armand Gilliam from 15. Rivers pushes it up a bit for Campbell. He's 0 for 2. Doesn't take you long to see the effect of Doug Moe and the coaching style that is on the floor for the Sixers. Run it up. Weatherspoon challenging Ewing and getting his own rebound and dropping it in with a foul. What a sequence for the rookie Clarence Weatherspoon.
Really looks nervous, doesn't he?
Yeah, can't fit in at all.
Well, this bright rookie made an impression last evening against the Nets, and he does it here in the opening moments at Madison Square Garden in his first appearance, and he finishes off with a three-point play. Much was said about it. Witherspoon compared to Charles Barkley. I asked Doug Moe about it before the game. He said more of a Larry Johnson type player. And when you see the quick jumping that he just exhibited, you get an idea of that. Although Barkley is one of the best at that also.
Rivers, it's a 3. 9-7. Well, Hawkins traveled, no whistle on the play. Sixers push it up the floor again. Hornacek guarded by Rivers.
This is the characteristic passing game of Doug Moe's teams.
John Starks called for a foul that the official said was upside the head, John.
In the passing game, the team ideally doesn't put the ball on the floor. That's when Kiki Vandeweghe was in his great stages of offense as a member of the Denver Nuggets under Doug Moe. That ball would move one side to the other, and then a man would cut down the middle and get that pass or stop, take the quick jump shot. But the passing game is a fun game if you have people who can pass the ball and catch the ball. Very basic things, but not every team has those kind of players on the NBA level that can pass and catch as quickly as necessary to play the passing game so successfully.
Yeah, it's very different for the Sixers, who remained from last year, who used a completely different system under Jimmy Lynam, and those who played last season in Phoenix, the 3 coming over. So there's a lot of adjustment going on in the Sixers team. High inside for John Starks. That bounds away. Hawkins met by Campbell. Beautiful pass, and a foul underneath. Armand Gilliam will be shooting.
Oakley chose to throw that lead pass to Starks. The problem is the tallest man on the Sixers was there to guard him. Andrew Lang at 6'11". So that was a low percentage judgment by Charles.
We see a little butterflies in the bellies of the Knicks here in the first few minutes, John. A lot of emotion. Certainly nothing is lost on this team in terms of what this city wants to see.
Well, the fans, Al, as we witnessed when the players were warming up. As the game time approached, started cheering. There's almost a playoff feeling here. Great excitement as the Knicks present this new-look team to their public for the first time.
Sixers up by 6. Patrick Ewing is hammered inside by Andrew Lang and a foul. So Patrick Ewing will step to the line. A brief chat with John Starks. Lang on the foul. 8:47 to go in the opening quarter here at the Garden. It is a sellout. Patrick pretty accurate from the floor in the preseason, just shy of 55%.
Under the sense of alarm that greeted the Knicks fans when the opening day of camp, Patrick Ewing came out and announced his ankle was sore. And the headlines the next day, everybody was so worried. Well, Patrick went on to a very fine training camp.
And haven't heard it mentioned since?
No, he's in full form and came back from the Olympics and all that summer commitment with a great sense of enthusiasm for his new team.
Ewing has 4 of the Knicks 9. It is a 4-point Sixer lead. Hornacek rifles one inside. It's Weatherspoon again. He has 7 of the Sixers' 15. Not a bad Garden debut for this rookie of Philadelphia. Ewing kicks it outside for Oakley. Perfectly done in a high arc. A beautiful jumper by Oakley.
Charles playing with 5 stitches above his eye. He suffered in the fourth quarter last night. Prior to that, though, he had shot the ball very well in that game in Atlanta.
Quick pass inside. Ewing deflected out of bounds. Oakley last night 5 of 6 from the floor. The collision coming with the head of Kevin Willis of the Atlanta Hawks. He left the game, did not return, but did come back to the bench. Hornacek looks for the cutter. That's Hawkins. Now Gilliam. Ewing on the switch. That leaves Lang to turn on Oakley. And Rivers is inside for the rebound. Knicks run and lose possession for a moment. Nicely saved by Campbell, who never gave up. And illegal defense is called against the Sixers. That's their first infraction in that category. Doug Moe, a decade with the Nuggets. Prior to that, brief time with San Antonio. Some time off and now back at it.
Yeah, talking to him before the game, I said, Doug, I can't believe it's 2 years since we've seen you back in coaching. He said he couldn't believe it either. And Tony Campbell with a fall away.
You know, it's amazing, John. Not only is Doug Moe wearing a jacket and tie, but he did last night as well, which means he has at least 2 outfits.
Well, he's made a severe change in his attire style. He got involved with a company in Philadelphia, Al, that's making him go through a very dramatic image change. Doug looks nice.
Beautiful slap, and Starks is on the run and fouled from behind by Hersey Hawkins.
It's a deep shot foul.
Grabbed on the breakaway. Only the second team foul, but Starks will get the 2. How nice it is for the Knicks to know that Starks can contribute the way he did last night in a starting role, knowing that for was believed to be his role, he'll be coming off the bench once Rolando Blackman is ready to start. Starks last night, 18 points, 7 of 12, 1 for 2 from beyond the arc. 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals in 35 minutes. Great night.
John did his most damage when the team needed it. In the second half, quiet first half, but he broke loose and was a major reason why the Knicks played so well in the second half and won the game.
Another good sign I thought last night, John, was after the Knicks had the big lead and the Atlanta Hawks started the fourth quarter as hot as they did, got it down to 3. Pat Riley called a timeout, and the Knicks responded so well after that timeout and completely regained control of the game. Starting 10 still out there for both teams. Starks on the steal. Campbell looking for him on the break. Backflip Ewing. Knicks in front, 17-15. Doug Moe says, let's burn one. 20-second timeout here at the Garden.
Tony Campbell, key deflection. The ball goes up court to John Starks, who senses Ewing running hard. And why not reward the big man? And he does. perfectly set up by John Starks to Patrick Ewing.
And that gets the crowd very much involved here in the early going. Pat Riley sends the same 5 out to the floor. Doc Rivers, John Starks, and up front Tony Campbell, Charles Oakley, and Patrick Ewing. And Susan Waldman of WFAN, John, told me something pretty funny. She said last night on the floor, she overheard Dominique Wilkins walking across, and I believe it was near Patrick Ewing, and he said, "Let me get this straight, man. Charles Smith comes off the bench for you guys?" Now, that's sort of the notice that's going around the NBA quickly. Doc Rivers, good pressure on the inbound.
Well, I think Charles himself was surprised as the preseason unfolded that would happen, that he would be coming off the bench.
Andrew Lang's going to be called for an offensive foul. Nice performance by Doc. First foul on Lang. Knicks up 17-15. They've erased the early good start of the 76ers. They've settled in on defense. And the offense has come to life as well. Oakley, pressure by the Sixers. Campbell throws it away. And once touched, it should belong to Philadelphia. And a timeout here at the Garden. 6:56 to go in the first quarter. Knicks up by 2. Philadelphia 76ers here in the opening quarter at the Garden in their home opener, 17-15. Sixers started well, but the Knicks have turned it up, and now they'll pressure the inbound. Armin Gilliam. Same 5 out there for the Knicks, same 5 out there for Philadelphia. Lang looking for help. 4 seconds out to get the ball as he runs the point and the show for Doug Moe's Philadelphia 76ers. That'll be a foul on Charles Oakley.
MSG Network.
Okay.
Summary is brought to you by Amtrak's Metroliner service. 16 departures to downtown.
And see who did what, especially the ex-Knicks. Mark Jackson, a pretty good opener for the Clippers. Xavier McDaniel, a quiet night for Boston. Gilliam bouncing bodies with Charles Oakley. And Jeff Hornacek ties it up at 17 for Hornacek. That's 4 points. Even balance scoring for Philly. Gilliam was 4. Weatherspoon was 7. All 5 of the Knicks starters have scored. Ewing leading with 4. Blocked by Lang.
That's why he's with the Sixers. Those are his particular skills. Shot blocking being one of them, and rebounding.
Lindsey Hawkins gets the foul and some damage.
Hawkins, always an outstanding jump shooter coming out of college, where he led the nation in scoring at Bradley, but he's developed that move to the basket, which is making him tougher and tougher. This is a major budding star in the NBA with the skills of Hersey Hawkins.
It's hard to believe he's already in his 5th season, John. I mean, that doesn't seem like we're watching him on the nightly highlights from Bradley that long ago. He's an 87% free throw shooter, and he gives the Sixers a 2017 lead. Rolando Blackman getting set to make his first Garden appearance in a Knick uniform. Starks almost had it swiped. Ewing spins with 5 on the 24. Campbell follows.
Well, Tony Campbell can play some guard, but he is showing how effective he can be also as a forward, which is really the first position he enjoyed coming into the NBA.
Weatherspoon. Oh, he's tough inside. He's showing that.
Let's point out, Al, the guy is 6'6", so there is a definite reminder of the skills of Charles Barkley when you see Weatherspoon work inside. He's maybe a little taller than Barkley.
Oakley 1 for 2 from the outside. Sixers push it up. Gilliam on the run and runs right into Oakley. Offensive foul. It'll go the other way. And Rolando Blackman and Anthony Mason check in, replacing Tony Campbell and John Starks.
Look at that charge right now. Gilliam coming down, Oakley offering himself up. That's what he does so well. He did it last night.
I asked Blackman before the game how everything felt. He said, great, except my lungs. But what a good feeling it was to drain that first jump shot. Showing off his perfect form. Last night, 7 points in his 13 minutes. Hornacek
with the rebound. Knicks have got to stop Hornacek out higher.
Two Knicks in for the rebound, Oakley and Mason. Oakley for Blackman. Thought about it. Ewing. Inside Oakley on the run. Good look by Patrick Ewing. And unlike many times past, you make a very big commitment when you go to double team Patrick Ewing, as was the case virtually every time up the floor. This team, with its depth and ability, does not allow a team to do that without paying the price. Blackman looking for Oakley, instead for Mason. Rivers on the cut. Two Knicks inside. It's Oakley. Knicks lead 23-22. Showing a lot more aggressiveness on the boards are the Knicks. Just under 3:50 to go in the first quarter. Armin Gilliam.
Giving Charles Oakley a lot to think about. Gilliam working in low, getting it done.
Anthony Mason, he's been working overtime with assistant coach Jeff Van Gundy on the outside shot.
Spent a lot of time this summer on the outside shot, and he ended up the Knicks' second leading scorer in preseason play, and last night came out, hit 15 points against the Hawks.
Hersey Hawkins is off. Ewing is there. Mason guarded by Ron Anderson, who's checked in for Philadelphia. Orlando Blackman.
What a great feeling for Orlando.
He hits his first Nick Garden jumper.
And why not?
Armin Gilliam. We know at least 26 people who cheered that shot, John.
Meanwhile, Jeff Hornacek is giving this team such leadership. That's the word that, the elusive word that the Sixers were searching for with the disappearance of Barkley.
For the Knicks, Doc Rivers provides that.
I'm having a really good time. I'm going to burn all this stuff if we don't win a game here.
He's a straight shooter. Doug Moe, originally from Brooklyn. John, I think he called Chuck Daly and Pat Riley mannequins, didn't he?
I think people who dress well are referred to as mannequins, and now he is a mannequin. He didn't want to quite say that, but he's become one because someone's giving him clothes to wear in Philadelphia, and mighty nice.
He has seen the enemy, and it is he. Approaching the 2-minute mark of the first quarter. Greg Grant, the former Knick, has checked in, and he throws one past Tim Perry, the other member of the trio that came over from the Phoenix Suns. There's Greg Grant, the former star at Trenton State. Last year splitting time with Charlotte, eventually finding a home in Philadelphia. He saw plenty of court time last night. Charles Shackelford also in with Ron Anderson, Hersey Hawkins, Perry, and Grant.
It shouldn't count if he didn't call backboard.
You got to call it on those. For the Knicks, it is Oakley up front with Charles Smith and Anthony Mason. Rolando Blackman and Doc Rivers still in there for the Knicks at the point.
That was, by the way, Ron Anderson on that jump shot. An outstanding jump shooter, we might add. He's bothered the Knicks through the years.
Well, Charles Smith, who got in foul trouble in a hurry last night, didn't take long to have his first foul call tonight. An offensive foul gives the Sixers the ball with 90 seconds approximately remaining in the opening quarter. Hawkins over Blackman. Mason is there for the carom. Mason, who dreams of one day playing point guard himself, charges up the center of the floor, deflected out by Hersey Hawkins. Knicks in front, 29-28. And after a rousing cheers to get this game going, the Garden has sort of mellowed into a continuous buzz, but nothing really loud or extraordinary. Smith with something extraordinary in the recovery and the look for Charles Oakley.
Well, the Sixers have blunted the Knicks' start in this game. That was Tim Perry on a very impressive drive. The Sixers have come out strongly. Doug Moe must be delighted with the play of his team.
Doc Rivers on the charge is fouled. Greg Grant is called. Greg Anthony checks in for the Knicks. Doc Rivers will get a breather. Very difficult conditions, John, for Greg Anthony to make his mark early in this season with the injury that seems to be ongoing to his hand, the problem with his knee, and yet everyone is looking at him, and he's got to feel the pressure of his particular performance and contribution to this team.
Well, he played 14 minutes last night in Atlanta, didn't have the limp that he had in the exhibition season, and he's a very tough guy. In fact, Al, you might recall at UNLV, he played for several games with a broken jaw when he was in college. He's very tough, and he's managed to somehow get himself healthy enough to play.
Charles Smith to the line. I mentioned his foul problems last night. How about 5 personals in 8 minutes? We touched on it in the beginning. How much of that do you think goes to him maybe being a little awkward with the defensive pressure that Pat Riley wants to see from him?
I think that's precisely it. And Pat, after the game, pointed out that he wants Charles, if he's going to commit fouls, to commit them down low, not outside, guarding people where he's reaching in, using that height to, in effect, waste fouls. You don't want your big men out there bending down and reaching around people away from the basket. That's low percentage basketball for a man his size.
Smith, by the way, scoring his 5,000th career point last night as Dominique Wilkins scored his 20,000th. Greg Grant draws Charles Smith. He scampers back underneath to recover against Charles Shackelford. Hawkins driving, slithering, breaking through the Knicks defense. Shackelford follows, and a nice touch on the jump hook.
No attempt by the Knicks to box out, enabling that offensive rebound to go the Sixers' way.
Knicks will play for 1 with the seconds counting down in the first quarter. Anthony, a lot of dribbling. And the buzzer goes. Not a glamorous way for the Knicks to end that first quarter. With the score tied at 32, we step away on MSG.
There's nothing.
Brought to you by the team of Canon Technology and MCS Service. One is a great reason to buy the other. Well, Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley got it together moments ago. Patrick Ewing getting the ball down low, sizing up opportunity. Charles with a well-timed cut by Armand Gilliam in for 2 points. Nicely done. Good teamwork.
1 quarter down in the home opener. Patrick Ewing in the first quarter, 6 points for the Knicks. Tied at 32. With the honor of filling in for Marv Albert tonight, I'm Al Trautwig along with John Andres. Knicks, with the benefit of their passing, have 11 assists to the Sixers' 7. You can see the hot shooting that the Sixers had. They got a lot of work inside from Clarence Weatherspoon. Illegal defense called against the Knicks, so it's 1 infraction in that category apiece.
The job for the Knicks now is to blunt this passing attack that the Sixers executed so perfectly in the first quarter. I am very impressed how they have bought the Doug Moe system and executed it so well.
And it is a system, John, is it not, that demands that you have a quick reacting defense. They're able to switch the ball from one side to the other. I mean, the weak side becomes the strong side in a hurry.
Quick reacting offense. Yeah, how well they know each other here. And this is a young team. I mean, talk about the Knicks having to get to know each other. They have 5 new players on this roster.
Well, the Knicks the benefit of the turnover. Greg Anthony up against Greg Grant, the former Knick. His guard mate is Rolando Blackman. It's Charles Smith up front with Patrick Ewing and Anthony Mason. And you'll see it throughout this game. The Knicks can give you so many different looks. And here they're going with a rather long lineup up front.
The Knicks are getting used to looking for Mason down low as an offensive threat more and more. And Mason is justifying that confidence with his play, as he has done throughout the preseason and last night as well, as you see the numbers he put up last evening, 15 and 5 rebounds.
At 5'7", Greg Grant is a nervy sort. You've got to be that way to succeed at this height in this league. And he was even more nervy in fouling Anthony Mason, who goes to the line and gives the Knicks a 2-point lead.
You know, Al, last night Doug Moe told me he thought his team had the game won. They were up by a few points with a little over a minute to go, and he pointed to Greg Grant as being the reason they were in such good position. I mean, he spoke of him with great confidence. He is not a novelty to this team, according to Doug Moe.
They did look like they had that game last night. Kenny Anderson had a big play in the last minute, I believe it was, and New Jersey was able to win it by 3. Rolando Blackman off the mark. Shackelford steals one from the fingertips of Ewing.
Oh, wait a minute, Rolando. You said you never miss a jump shot. Oh, he thinks he never misses a jump shot when he goes up. Remember that story early in the preseason? Every time I shoot the ball, I suck it to go in.
A swipe for Greg Anthony, and there's Jeff Hornacek on the foul just as Anthony broke the midcourt line. Andrew Lang checks back in, and Charles Shackelford will sit.
We had a play similar to that in the first quarter. We identified as a breakaway. Forget the word breakaway now in NBA terminology. It's now called clear path to the basket. If a player goes from the backcourt to the front court and gets the ball from the backcourt and is fouled from behind, it's called clear path to the basket, a two-shot foul.
Charles Smith wearing number 54, Blackman number 20. Greg Anthony switching to 50. Update you on the numerical story of the Knicks. Tough pass by Patrick Ewing into a slew of Sixers inside. Philadelphia spreads the floor, leaving Hornacek outside. That was a two-point attempt pulled down by Mason. Knicks with the only 2 points of the quarter so far, and it is a 34-32 lead. Smith is fouled from behind by Tim Perry.
Now, that's an example of a specific foul that the NBA Board of Governors have ruled against in the sense of it's now a foul. Perry used his knee from behind to foul Smith. And the officials are very wary of that when the defensive man uses that knee to push the guy out from down low. Terry Durham jumped all over that call.
John Starks back in. Rolando Blackman sits. Patrick Ewing is called for the foul. I'm sorry, it was not a foul. It was a 3-second violation. Turnover gives the ball to Philadelphia. Just under 10 minutes to go in the half. A one-handed attempt by Perry. Now the Knicks try to capitalize. Anthony right down the middle and is fouled as he rose to the hoop. Looked like he wanted to keep that one for himself after looking right and left. Checking back in is Armand Gilliam. Percy Hawkins will be back. Greg Grant and Tim Perry will leave.
Seems like Greg Anthony aggravated his left wrist, where he's had some ligament problems in his left arm.
He was sort of holding it in a weird way behind his back.
Take a look at that last foul call against Tim Perry, using that right knee to foul Charles Smith. That's the one we referred to as the officials being very on the look for this year. Very sensitive to inside play. They want to avoid the rough inside play by big men that has ensued in so many games in recent years.
Rough few seconds on the floor for Greg Anthony. He missed on his attempts at the line, so the Knicks still at 34-32 in front. Then the hacked foul that gives the Sixers the ball out of bounds. Doug Moe with better than 600 wins. Starks doing a good job of keeping up with Percy Hawkins as he battled his way through traffic. Hornacek. And he drops in another one. Jeff Hornacek, who led the Phoenix Suns in 5 different categories last year: scoring, steals, free throw percentage, 89%, minutes, and three-point percentage, is keeping the Sixers legitimate from the outside.
Good response by the Knicks, rushing the ball back down court after Hornacek shot, and Charles Smith burned the Sixers.
Gilliam rejected by Smith. He looks up for John Starks, but he's 1-on-2 and pulling up. Mason with an ill-timed leap. He was in position for that rebound.
Starks has earned the right to take shots like that, even though there were 3 Sixers down and no Knicks.
Another rebound by Smith. Mason. Will be inside outside with Ewing. Almost had it stolen away by Andrew Lang. Ewing, a little bit beyond where he might want to take it. Way out of the green. Good steal by Anthony. Mason with a good-looking move. low-scoring second quarter. It was 32-32 at the end of one. We played almost 5 minutes.
You see the Knicks' philosophy is to run that basketball. They're rushing it back down. That wears out the defense. There wasn't much intensity guarding Ewing. Andrew Lang was kind of there, but looks like the Knicks are wearing down the Sixers a bit.
8 points for Patrick Ewing, 3 of 7 from the floor. A delay of game has been charged against the Knicks. It is their second infraction, and that will result in a technical foul with Jeff Hornacek going to the line.
Can't interfere with the ball when the other team scores.
I don't remember the first delay of game warning that the Knicks got in this game. Tony Campbell returning for the Knicks. Charles Oakley back. Charles Smith sits down. So does Anthony Mason. So the Knicks put this look on the floor. Campbell with Oakley and Ewing. Starks with Anthony. 4 of the 5 started the game. Percy Hawkins guarded by Starks. Anthony picking up Hornacek. Weatherspoon battling with Tony Campbell. Oakley with Gilliam. Weatherspoon with a wild shot. One of the few times he's been inside and unsuccessful.
Boy, can he get up on the board.
This will be a foul against Philadelphia. Armand Gilliam, as you can see, not too thrilled that the whistle's against him. Third foul on Armand Gilliam. Greg Grant also has 3, so 2 Sixers here early on with 3 personal fouls. Sixers after their 65% start, 1 for 8 in the second quarter.
Pat Riley sending a signal that he's going to use Greg Anthony more tonight. He's getting a good run here in the first half.
Greg Anthony is now 0 for 3 from the line. Veteran Ron Anderson back in as Armand Gilliam steps out. Well, Greg finished last season shooting 37% from the floor. That's a number he'll want to improve on, but it's tough with a bad hand. Weatherspoon, the 9th pick in the draft, whips it around the outside. Hornacek on a fake out Starks, and he pulls up for a 2-point attempt. Swipe by Greg Anthony. Knicks looking up the floor. Starks regaining control, but now everyone's back in position. Starks. Ewing on the follow. It's Tony Campbell. It's a follow by Starks again. A little credit is due to Ewing and Oakley, who crashed the boards and may have helped deflect that ball to Starks. Now Ewing sliding in tough position and dropping it in. Oh, what a touch. Knicks on a 9-1 run and taking a lead of 43-35. Anderson with Ewing way outside with it. And Ron Anderson, silky smooth. He's so consistent.
He's special.
And Ewing is fouled.
The Knicks are doing so well when the Sixers score is rushing the ball down and creating offensive pressure.
43-37 Knicks and a timeout at the Garden.
3:37. Bruce Beck has found at least one interested spectator.
Thank you, Al. 7 new players for the New York Knicks, so the big question is chemistry. We turn to William Red Holzman, who knows a lot about that. Red, what does it take for a ball club to come together?
Well, I think it takes some of the things we have already. We have a master coach that depends on defense a great deal, and that's very, very important. And then we've got a lot of guys that are hungry, never won a championship. And I think they tend to blend a lot faster than most other people. They submerge their egos, and they become part of the whole thing, and they want to achieve the common good. They want to win a championship.
How long does it take, Red?
I think they were with Pat Riley yesterday.
Red Holzman, the man who led the New York Knicks to 2 world championships. Let's go back to Al Trotman.
All right, Bruce, 613 victories. That's why that number hangs at the roof of the Garden in honor of Red Holzman. How about yesterday, John? There's a vote of confidence for his belief in Pat Riley.
Well, Pat Riley made it clear. In fact, New York fans read about it yesterday. The feeling of how long is it going to take and show a lot of patience. Pat announced he has no patience. He wants it now, and he wants his players to think that way. If they don't think that way, they can sit and watch.
Well, after Patrick Ewing had a rough trip to the line at the other end, Charles Oakley has called for the foul at this end of the floor. And so with 5:45 to go in the half, the Sixers will have the ball down by 6. Weatherspoon on the fall away. Ewing on the rebound. Starks gracefully. He prances up the floor at times. It's a fun gait to watch. Patrick Ewing is off. Here's Andrew Lang with a big rebound.
Patrick is going for the jump shots wherever they come.
Percy Hawkins bangs in a 3. That's 8 points for Hawkins, and the Sixers are within 3. Rivers on the bounce, and then the return. He takes it all away. Rivers with 5. It's with 5 double-digit scores last night, and another beginning to what looks to be a well-balanced night. Here's Jeff Hornacek again. He is having a fine first half, 9 points.
He owns that move of coming around on the perimeter, getting the ball and going up for the jump shot or driving to the basket. He's a very complete offensive player.
Starks for Ewing. Philadelphia. Percy Hawkins challenging Starks. Met by Campbell. Shooting anyway.
How about Witherspoon going over Oakley and tapping that ball back? Unfortunately for him, it went to Rivers.
Doc Rivers is off. It's not shooting well from outside, and their offense does not have nearly the flow that it had, at least in my opinion, last night. And Andrew Lang is fouled as he spun to the hoop. Mike Campbell is called on the foul. He's not already in this game, and having watched last night's game, you know that the Philadelphia 76ers got a lot of talent in return for Charles Barkley, but what they didn't get is a star. And that's sort of going to be a very difficult thing for this team to establish an identity in a city where they're so used to having that instant identity with Barkley, who really stirred up an opinion in your mind one way or the other as soon as you heard his name mentioned.
But what the fans and ownership in Philadelphia learned, Al, was that a star isn't enough. And Charles Barkley, certainly a superstar, they weren't getting anywhere, and not to mention his disruptive ways. So they have decided to go in another direction, and I don't think it can be criticized. And they got 3 starters, or 3 potential starters in return, and a more complete club, a more balanced team.
Do you think, though, that they're not headed for a long season?
Oh, I think they're definitely headed for a long season. I think they'll be happy if they make the playoffs, unlike the Knicks, who don't think in those terms at all. But I'm very impressed with their opening half.
Stark had the ball knocked out of bounds.
Andrew Lang didn't even play in the preseason. He had an injury. These guys are just getting to know each other. They don't have any real solid center play at all, and they're playing with a rookie, Witherspoon, who's come out here and played like a 5-year veteran.
Pat Riley shuffles the lineup on the floor as Anthony Mason and Charles Smith check in for the Knicks, and it is Smith on the inbound. Starks quick firing. Patrick Ewing battling inside with Lang. It'll be Knicks ball. Knicks 18 of 37. But the gut impression that I get is not that good. That's just a little bit under 50%, but they seem to be more off than that.
Well, that comes from them not hitting their outside shots, Al. I think, we're seeing some jump shooting, but they're not going in enough.
Starks flips it for Rivers. He goes out for Charles Smith. And 3 seconds is the call against the Knicks. It's on Patrick Ewing.
But what is good about the Knick effort is that the energy level is very high. They're working very hard.
Sixers on the perimeter. Hornacek trying to spin on Doc Rivers. This is Weatherspoon, forced outside by Smith. 6 on the 24. Weatherspoon is off, and Ewing is up with a big rebound. Rivers for a running Mason, off his fingertips, or not? Yes, it is. Philadelphia basketball, the Knicks in front by only 1 now. Just under 3 minutes to go in the first half at the Garden.
Power and offensive work down low.
All those numbers, sorry, John, all those numbers total up to 45 for the Knicks, 44 for the Sixers. Just under 3 minutes to go as Hornacek misses from long distance. Doc Rivers. Mason on the fall away. Followed by Smith on his fingertips. Draws the crowd. And it's Hornacek there.
Nice work by Charles.
Andrew Lang. Weatherspoon missed the follow. Knicks try to push it. Mason on the run. If I'm not mistaken, a bank of lights just went out here at the Garden. Things dimmed slightly.
Yes, under the Knicks basket, well, under the whole place.
The level of the lighting here at the Garden just changed dramatically when the Knicks were going up the floor.
You see up there, Al, to our left, under the Knicks basket. And at the far end as well.
John, would you go take a look at that, please? Find the circuit breaker. And well, the officials have recognized it. Certainly looks as though they're going to play on.
It's playable. Kind of like the early days of the NBA, particularly, I think, of Convention Hall in Philadelphia. When you see the smoke-filled arena, you know, kind of dim. Although it's certainly not that bad here.
Now it got a little bit worse. But now they're back on. I don't know if you can tell that on the screen as we can here at the Garden, but they're playing on. And Ron Anderson drops one in from way outside, and the Sixers have moved a point in front with 1:45 to go. John Starks. Ewing can't get it to fall.
Nice job by Andrew Lang. Challenged Ewing, made it difficult right to the end.
Starks is one of the offensive elements that the Knicks aren't getting that they desperately need. He's 0 for 5. 1 for 5, check that.
Sixers is shooting the ball from the perimeter in far superior fashion than the Knicks are.
Here you see it broken down by quarter. Sixers 65% in the first. They've cooled to 24, and the Knicks just barely 2 percentage points over that in this chilly second quarter for both teams as Tim Perry comes back in for Philly. Clarence Weatherspoon leaves. Weatherspoon missing his last 5 shots after the great start. 9 points. You're looking at the view of Anthony Mason from the upper deck trading card cam. The spectacular, versatile camera from underneath the scoreboard here at the Garden. Mason missing. Not a great first half for the Knicks at the free throw line either. Both of these teams shooting better than 50% last night in their respective games. For the Sixers, it didn't help them win, but for the Knicks, it did.
Anthony did not spend much time looking at the rim prior to those foul shots.
Got to look at the rim, John.
Concerned more about the form, but when he looked up, he didn't look long enough.
70 seconds to go in the half. 5 on the 24. Good defense by the Knicks. Perry rolls it in. There's just a few ticks left on the 24-second clock. Just under a minute.
With Hornacek, Perry, Ron Anderson, Percy Hawkins, serious jump shooters, those 4 players.
Doc Rivers. And the Knicks continue to misfire from the perimeter. That'll be a foul on Patrick Ewing as he battled Charles Shackelford.
Al, they're being well guarded. The Knicks are settling for shots under pressure instead of making the extra pass. The Knicks have also not generated their defense to a high enough level to bother the Sixers jump shooters.
Approaching 30 seconds to go at half.
People of shining.
Walt Frazier, Mike Crispino will be at the MSG Sports Desk, and we'll have highlights and a recap of what happened in this first half, which is coming to a not beautiful end for the Knicks. 50-45, Sixers in front.
Lovely move by Charles Shackelford, a major disappointment to this team last year.
Mason. To Starks. Finally Riley. John Starks hits from beyond the stripe. It's a three-pointer that makes it a two-point game.
Starks has a special ability to lift his team.
And Hornacek almost got that one to fall. He did get the foul, and Doc Rivers is charged. Rivers pleading his case. But as always, it's a moot point. And a 20-second timeout has been called on the floor with 1 second remaining in the first half. Time to tell you that this program is authorized.
That is amazing to see that. Doug looks terrific, though, doesn't he? He lost some weight.
Yeah.
Looks real sharp. I'm sure he's pleased to be back in the NBA now, where he's enjoyed such a successful career, and certainly one of the more entertaining, fun people in professional basketball.
Oh, he speaks in harsh reality about what he considers to be the state of the Sixers. He said, right now, we're just not doing it. We're not very good, but you know, as you told me before the game, he's not saying that in the locker room.
Yeah, he plays it low. His team is playing very well. Jeff Hornacek, now in his 7th year, an excellent career foul shooter. Last year shot him at over 88%.
And the last second pass of Charles Smith is intercepted. Tim Perry comes up short. The first half is complete at Madison Square Garden. And sort of an unsettling buzz among the fans here who...
Ewing and Charles Oakley with an overall percentage of 52%. A Sharp Electronics gift will be presented to Patrick and Charles in honor of their outstanding achievement. How about a big round of applause for Dan Infante of Sharp Electronics and Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley for making it all possible.
So Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley, the Knicks sharp shooters for 1991-92, each shooting 52% from the field. Doug Moe, of course, the new head coach of Philadelphia. He's been diagramming some plays tonight, but, you know, his philosophy in the past has always been a little bit loose, especially in his days with Denver. Yes, that's Doug working on the chalkboard, but years ago, his philosophy a little different. He shared it with us way back when.
So we run the passing game, which, if you take this line here, this line here, this line here, and this line here, and you play in between there and have a good time, you'll end up scoring. So forget the plays. Just go out there, have a good time, run around like a chicken with your head cut off, make those stiffs run and chase you on defense a little bit, and you too can win a few games.
Pro basketball, a highly sophisticated ball game. Right now, let's go back to courtside to Al Trotwig and John Andres.
Well, worked well enough to win a division in Denver, but in the end, even his time ran out in the Mile High City. First quarter field goals, John, this is how it looked.
All Sixers, excellent shooting led by Jeff Hornacek.
However, the second quarter story was drastically different for both teams. Knicks 6 of 20, Sixers 7 of 23. And a sad story for the Knicks on the free throw line for sure. 50%, 8 of 16. On we go into the second half. And John, I don't know why I'm doing this, but there is no way that the Knicks are losing this game. No chance. I don't know why. I have a very strong feeling.
Well, I'm sure Pat Riley doesn't feel that way unless his team starts to play defense more intensely and play offensively at a higher caliber than they showed in the first half.
Same 10 who started it for both the Knicks and the Sixers. Just underway on the Knicks opening night. First of 5 meetings between these two as this season will move along. Whistle stops play outside. Just the third 3-second violation against the Knicks. Usually not a good sign of flow in the offense or stagnation. Sixers up by 4, 52-48.
Or not being awake.
That too. Armin Gilliam guarded by Charles Oakley. Tony Campbell there with Clarence Weatherspoon, who started so great and then cooled, missing his last 5 shots. Armin Gilliam lumbers into the lane, and he's met by Charles Oakley, and a foul is called.
Interesting watching Jeff Hornacek on offense. He moves without the ball extremely well, and in so doing keeps his man Doc Rivers very busy and out of the play, out of situations where he can bother other players.
Armin Gilliam getting the Knicks melody, missing on his first free throw attempt. He's coming off what has to be viewed as his best year as a pro. Played 81 games, averaged 17 points, shooting 51% from the floor and 81% from the free throw line. He gives the Sixers a 5-point, 53-48 advantage. Doc Rivers for Tony Campbell, open. 53-50.
Campbell didn't get many plays set up for him in training camp, but they're slowly coming, and if he keeps shooting like that, they'll continue to come his way.
Race for the loose ball. Starks diving for it. Hawkins looking inside for Weatherspoon, who's met by Oakley on the leap to the hoop.
The Knicks have got to get back, Al, to a more responsible defensive way of thinking. Weatherspoon now with all kinds of room coming in, virtually unguarded till the very end when he's fouled. When teams play doubling up basketball, as the Knicks do, as many NBA teams do, when you double up the ball as much as possible, you've got to be ready to also adjust to where the ball goes next. You've got to have that sense of defensive responsibility on the open people after you double up, and it's not coming quickly enough for the Knicks, as the Sixers are moving the ball exceptionally well to the open men.
Tony Campbell draws the rookie Weatherspoon outside. Patrick Ewing battling for position with Andrew Langan. That's been no gimme for Patrick in this game. Oakley hit underneath, and it's all Philadelphia on the rebound. Hornacek drops it for Gilliam, followed by another Sixer. Now the Knicks are getting beaten off the boards, and that is not something that'll make Pat Riley smile.
Also shooting the ball under stress. Credit the Sixers with excellent defense. So much time is taken focusing on the passing game style of Doug Moe's teams. Well, the Sixers are here tonight playing some defense.
Last year, the team leader in steals and the #2 scorer at 19 a game, Hersey Hawkins. Making it 55-50, the half-hour edition of the MSG Sports Desk tonight. We'll have the Nets and how they fare on night 2 of the NBA, Rangers and NHL action. Rangers up in Boston. Mike Quick with the high school report. Of course, no live from the play-by-play on weekend coverage or following weekend coverage of the Knicks and Rangers here on MSG.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Charles Smith enter this game pretty soon. He had an excellent first half. In only 11 minutes of play, he had 8 rebounds with 5 points.
Knicks need a hot hand, and there's certainly a lot of candidates for that. Falling out of bounds was Lang. A lot of hustle there for the Sixers big man. John Starks finishing up the first half, 2 of 6. Tony Campbell, 2 of 5. Patrick Ewing, 4 of 11.
You know, Al, so much is made of Doug Moe and his lighthearted approach to life, but just thinking, he enjoys something Pat Riley enjoys, particularly both his new coaches with their respective teams. Doug Moe has players that play for him. He doesn't come in with an approach as Pat Riley does, but it shows you teams, coaches can be effective with their respective styles, even though they may be different. Guys who play for Doug Moe play hard, and that's what the Sixers are doing here.
Charles Oakley goes over the top of the backboard. It'll belong to Philadelphia. Knicks remaining cool from the outside. Just under 10 minutes in the third. Natives getting a little restless here at the Garden.
Blackman played 7 minutes in the first half.
John Starks with a hand in the face of Hersey Hawkins. And he is called for the foul. That's the third on John Starks.
I mentioned outside shooting. How naturally your tendency is now to think of where's Rolando Blackman. But he is coming off that back injury that set him back, so Pat Riley has to use him judiciously.
Even on nights when you're cool from the outside, you can settle in and still win a game by playing good defense. And there it seemed as though the Knicks backed in a little bit. They dug a little deeper on defense, causing the turnover.
Well, as Riley pointed out after last night's game, the offense will take a while to develop. But the defense has to be there every night, as it was last night in Atlanta. It's got to get tougher here in this game.
They go to Ewing. Gets 2 in the air and 2 in the hoop. Knicks within 4. Some light chance of defense begin to emanate from the Garden, which is sold out tonight. Hawkins draws two. Bounce pass for Gilliam. He is hammered going up.
But why should the pass get into Gilliam so easily? From inside the foul line, a bounce pass is made to a big man with no one in the middle there to knock that ball down and make it difficult.
Fourth foul on Tony Campbell. Knicks over the limit, so Armin Gilliam will step to the line again. Gilliam in his 6th year in the NBA. Starting with Phoenix, brief time in Charlotte, now his 2nd season with the Philadelphia 76ers. Tony Campbell is out with the 4 fouls, and Anthony Mason checks back in for the Knicks, who, by the way, are debuting their new look uniforms. Gone is the traditional NY on the shorts. Back is their silver triangle new logo. Doc Rivers and the foul. Wait a minute.
Foul seemed to be late in being called, Al. It was called before the shot. Rivers had already beaten Hornacek, and the foul was a non-shooting foul.
I was sworn I saw someone signal and count it, but that's obviously not the way it's going to go.
It might have been a fan. Or Bruce Beck sitting to our right.
That could have been it. Patrick Ewing looking to start something inside, and now he's hit 2 in a row. Comes away with a scowl on his face and a high five for Doc Rivers on the pass. Knicks within 2. And now they're into it. Channing defense. John Starks loves to do that. Weatherspoon trying to spin on Mason. He locks him down on the baseline. Weatherspoon with a rough fall away. Up come the Knicks. Beautiful pass that was intended for Mason, but not beautiful enough. On the intercept for Weatherspoon and Hornacek. Percy Hawkins answers for Philadelphia, 58-54. Ewing's pass is deflected at the feet of Doug Moe. Charles Smith is in. Charles Oakley is out.
As I mentioned a moment ago, Al, Charles Smith had a very impressive first half in 11 minutes, 2 out of 5 from the field, 5 points, 8 rebounds. And the Knicks need him.
Jeff Hornacek steals the ball away from Doc Rivers.
Rivers not throwing a fake.
Oh, and a beautiful look away, and Hornacek gets it inside for Andrew Lang. That was one great move on the dribble by Hornacek.
Of course, fans in the East have only seen Hornacek twice a year when Phoenix would come to town or the Knicks would be down in Phoenix. However, seeing him here throughout this game thus far, one is beginning to understand why people think so highly of Jeff Hornacek. He came out shooting the ball very well tonight. That pass showed you something special as well. That was gorgeous, as you point out, Al.
Andrew Lang, with the career year, led the Suns in blocks. Their number 2 rebounder last year, his 5th year in the NBA. It is 59-54, a 5-point lead. And we've already detailed just what a leader in all the categories Hornacek was for Phoenix a year ago.
We talked about leadership in the absence of Charles Barkley. Well, maybe this leadership here will come from Hornacek. Nothing wrong with quiet, effective leadership.
You know what, Jonathan Barkley, though, in terms of leadership, you know, when he stepped over that line, I'm talking in terms of behavior, once in a while you could still buy into his act. But then near the end of his time at Philadelphia, he was stepping over the line, it seemed, on a daily basis. And I think it becomes more difficult to take a man as a leader who's doing that on such a frequent basis. Big rebound by Andrew Lang. He collides with Anthony Mason.
Which is obviously how the Sixers felt.
Rolando Blackman taking off the new Knick warm-ups. He's getting set to check in. Greg Anthony trying to dance on Hornacek. Looks inside for Smith. That fall away is followed by Ewing, but he can't get it, and Hornacek comes out of it.
How about the job Hornacek is doing on the boards? He's a guard.
Gilliam follows. It is Ewing on the rebound. 6 rebounds, John, for Jeff Hornacek. Beautiful move by John Starks, but he'll have to play it again. Does not get the friendly roll.
Well, I think the people in section 115, that is the Rolando Blackman family, are hoping they see their man soon.
The game when the Sixers have the ball has the look of garbage time. That's how loose the Knicks are playing on defense, and the Sixers lead it by 8.
Why did Hurts invent #1 club goals?
Porous defense a few moments back. A look from the upper deck trading card cam. Andrew Lang will go to the foul line, get a pass, and pick right through to Charles Shackelford. The Knicks too slow in closing down that passing lane. That should never happen. A pass in a setup offense made inside the defense so well, and they did a beautiful job of exploiting the Knicks.
Well, if this was opening night on Broadway, the Knicks would be blowing their minds for all the anticipation and good reviews they got last night. Not functioning well as of yet, but 6:29 to go. And for as much as the Sixers have dominated, their lead is only 8, but it is their biggest of the game.
Now we have a substitution now. The man who Section 15 is rooting for just came into the game, Rolando Blackman.
It is Blackman at the guard with Greg Anthony, Patrick Ewing with Charles Smith and Anthony Mason. Ewing is off and Gillian is there.
Basic defense. Hand in the face by Lang made it difficult for Ewing, who continues to take the shot even under pressure from a little bit further out than he should be shooting.
Lang has had a great night guarding Patrick Ewing. Knicks come up with the steal. Anthony Mason will take it all the way.
Charles Smith. He made it happen with his tenacious play.
And he's cheering on the floor. He wants to be a part of the energy that the Knicks need to get back in this game. Hawkins tries to quiet the crowd, which has come to life. Anthony looks for Mason, who's running again. Blackman gets the pass. He's wide open. So is Anthony. Mason tried to follow, and it will be off of his knee. Philadelphia ball.
Last Knicks basket comes off the fine defensive effort by Charles Smith, causing a deflection. Anthony Mason at his best, taking that ball end to end.
Back now live with plenty of time on the 24. Greg Grant, who has checked in for the Sixers, looks inside. Nothing there. Almost stolen. Now Anthony tries to complete it. Started by Blackman. Greg Grant fires.
No way that goes in.
Well short. And there's Anthony Mason. You know, Greg Grant had 8 seconds on the 24-second clock, and I don't think he knew it. Ewing drops it for Anthony, who is hit hard on the give and go.
Sixers did a good job of cluttering up the middle.
Patrick Ewing with his arm around Anthony, who's playing all beaten up, hit the floor hard.
Ewing looking for the cutter. The Sixers close it down pretty well. Fortunately, Anthony not hurt. He's got to be fragile with all of his injuries.
Mason, the power drive. Ewing tried to get it. Smith is there. Knicks are pressing on the boards. They're getting their follows, but they're not falling as of yet. Greg Grant, Ron Anderson. Greg Anthony finds Blackman, three-pointer.
What a sigh of relief around Madison Square Garden.
What's that section, John?
115.
They're up and cheering at 115 and the rest of the guard.
There once was a land filled with wonder, a land of elegant ladies and handsome gentlemen, with children rollicking.
Homie's got to cut his grass. What's up?
$4.5. $4.5 here down. $600. Sold.
The man's round sale, but he's got no beef. Pardon me.
That was that.
Yo, MC Cow Seller. Bud. Fresh.
Good sense when you drink and know when to say when. A reminder from Budweiser. Well, Pat Riley went to the bench moments ago and came up with Rolando Blackman, who delivered and brought the Knicks to within 3.
Welcome home, Rolando. 62-59. Knicks trying to turn up the defense, and Jeff Hornacek is fouled with a knee. It'll be on Patrick Ewing, and it'll be Patrick's second foul. Sixers will send Hornacek to the line. Sixers 17% in the third quarter, but still in this quarter they've been able to enjoy their biggest lead of the game, 8. Right now their lead down to 3.
Jeff Hornacek played his college ball at Iowa State, now in his 6th season, as you mentioned before, Al. It's interesting to see that Jeff Hornacek was a second-round draft pick in 1986, the 46th player chosen overall. With keen eyes for the Phoenix Suns picked him out.
Greg Anthony dueling with Greg Grant, Rolando Blackman, and right in his shorts is Hornacek. Blackman struggling to break free. Mason for Anthony. 10 on the 24. Mason fakes it beautifully. Charles Smith tried to follow, but Andrew Lang continues to be a presence underneath. 3:30 to go. Sixers lead is 4. Tim Perry is checked in for the Sixers. He's with Lang and Ron Anderson up front. Mason, his tongue hanging out like Michael Jordan, playing defense, and Hornacek is off.
Knicks kept pushing them out further and further with their intensity.
Blackman draws a crowd, and that'll be an illegal defense. And that'll be a technical foul against the the Philadelphia 76ers. They look like the Phoenix Suns sometimes.
Well, Rolando Blackman has taken over the Knicks' technical foul shooting.
And even he has grabbed the Nick Woes from the free throw line. So they want to shake it off as the Knicks get back to the job of possession here with 3:07 to go in the third.
The reason Rolando's been given that job is he has shot his foul shots at an 84% clip throughout his 11 years.
Greg Anthony just sent it out of bounds. Anthony's claiming that Charles Smith was held, but no such call. Sixers trying to catch the Knicks from getting back. Tim Perry wide open and way off.
It's very fortunate now the Sixers have gone cold with their jump shooting. The Sixers are doing a terrific job in transition defense, not allowing the Knicks fast break.
And in defense overall. Hornacek is giving Blackman fits and trying to get open, but Rolando answers anyway. Knicks needed someone with a hot hand, and Blackman may be the guy. It's a 2-point game. Philadelphia inside for Tim Perry. Anthony spins away from the full court pressure of Greg Grant. Ewing, great look on the return. And Anthony blew the layup, but a whistle.
And he's hurt bad, Al.
He hit the floor hard. Greg Anthony having a tough time from the floor, 0 for 3. That was a great look.
Give and go basketball at its best until the very end. Greg, who has continued to have difficulty converting shots in close, an area of his game that he's worked very hard at. He did it the offseason.
1 for 4 in this game from the free throw line. It is 65-62 with 2:04 to go in the third.
Seems to be hurt.
And he was limping a bit, and
badly.
Yeah. Greg Grant shoves him off the line right after he finished that free throw. 2 minutes to go. Knicks again within 2. Ron Anderson picks up Ewing. Lets it go anyway. Rebound by Charles Smith.
Better have a hand in Anderson's face. He's too good a shooter.
Mason lost it for Grant. Ewing could not recover. Helter-skelter as the Sixers bring it up the floor. Hornacek draws Ewing on defense. That leaves Lang. Room to work, but Ewing recovers to get inside to grab the rebound.
Beautifully set up by Hornacek.
90 seconds to go. Blackman with another 3.
That would have brought the house down.
Anderson stolen inside by Anthony. Help from Blackman.
Who's going to run with Anthony? Nobody. He wanted to go.
Charles Smith settles back down to the post against Perry. Knicks work it to a wide-open Blackman.
As it so often happens, when you have a wide-open shot, that in itself becomes a distraction.
Had he stayed in position or even thought about following it, it would have bounced right back to him. And in an effort to find another hot shooter, Pat Riley sends out the rookie, Hubert Davis. His first regular season NBA appearance, and Tony Campbell returned for New York as well. Last year in the NBA, no school was more represented than North Carolina, with 12 representatives in the NBA. And now they've got another one in Hubert Davis, whose NBA career begins now. 50 seconds and counting it down in the third. Davis draws the assignment of guarding Hornacek, who's been a pest all night for the Knicks. Perry picked up by Mason. 4 on the 24. Grant spinning, and Greg Anthony is called for the foul.
Pat Riley's furious.
And a technical foul has been charged. I think it is on Anthony Mason. And Jeff Hornacek will shoot the tee with 39.4 seconds to go. Mason's been jawing with the officials ever since the ball was called out of bounds off his knee about 5-6 minutes ago, earlier in this third quarter. Now the personal foul by Greg Grant. Sixers 66, the Knicks 63. Hornacek with 13 points. 4 of 10 from the floor. For some reason, you look at those numbers, and this guy's had such an enormous impact on this game, and the numbers don't seem to show it.
And it seems like he's shooting the ball much better than that. Greg Grant getting valuable playing time. Like Mo likes him.
Anthony draws 2. That leaves Mason open, but Shackelford lets him slide by. And Anthony Mason fired up after the slam. That was a great pass by Greg Anthony. Rejected is Greg Grant by Charles Smith, and that gets the Garden up.
Well, when Pat Riley saw Smith in action early in his Knicks career, he said, boy, I'm surprised he's such a good shot blocker. He really has impressed me. Recall he had 8 against San Antonio in the Knicks' first exhibition game.
Hornacek is off target. Knicks with an attempt to finish it with one shot here.
How about Greg Anthony way up to get that rebound? He was up there with Charles Smith.
And they clear it out with room for Anthony. Charles Smith fills the space. And just as he was going to send it over to Hubert Davis, who could have had a chance to end this third quarter with a big shot, a foul is called.
These are very good minutes for Greg Anthony. He's become very important. He's making things happen.
Anthony Mason will inbound off the foul. The Knicks with 4.9 seconds to play it here in the third. Down by 3. Anthony is met, and it... With 1.4 to go, Greg Anthony drops his first hoop in with the foul.
He looks like he's going into major problems here with all these big people. So, all that hard work this summer, when he had obstructions put around the basket in his backyard in Las Vegas so that he could get used to scoring against big people, it all paid off on that move.
And he finishes the three-point play. The Knicks have tied it. Intercept is Mason, and a good ending to the third quarter for the Knicks. They seize the moment. The Sixers shooting 3 of 18, and the Knicks at least find some range to get back in this one.
Knicks have come back with a rush now, tying this game at the end of 3. We'll take a look now at our Midas bench breakdown. The Sixers with 18 points, 7 rebounds. The Knicks, as predicted by local experts, superior with 25 points and double the rebounds. Greg Anthony to Anthony Mason in close for that jam. What a beautiful lead pass that was from Greg Anthony. Once again, the Knicks able to shine with Patrick Ewing on the bench.
Well, you're talking, John, about the contribution of the bench and all those rebounds off the bench. 10 of those rebounds have come off the bench via Charles Smith. Smith remains out there for the Knicks with Tony Campbell, Anthony Mason, and here's Hubert Davis going to the hoop and drawing the foul. We begin the fourth quarter all tied up at 68. Both teams taking 19 shots in the third quarter. Knicks made 8, Philly made 3. We'll bring you back to the Garden in a moment. Let's check in first with Mike Crispino.
Alan John, the Nets are making it happen in Miami. Here he goes. Derek Coleman on a spin move pack. Alice Gallic Kessler, 10 points in the first half. They're tied 54 in the third.
All right, Mike, so the Nets trying to go 2-0 on this young NBA season, and Hubert Davis has given the Knicks a lead with the first points of his NBA career. A shooter extraordinaire, perfect from the free throw line with his first chance.
But he's got to concentrate on defense now with Jeff Hornacek running the whole show here for the Sixers.
We'll see if the Knicks can maintain the energy they built up as the close of the third quarter. Rejected his arm on Gilliam by Charles Smith, but goaltending is called. Riley furious, but it will stick.
That's a good call. The enthusiasm of Charles Smith is such, though, that he felt he had to do it. You can't criticize a player for that. Knicks have manufactured a much higher level of intensity now on the defensive end.
Mason looking for Hubert Davis. Well, these minutes are big votes of confidence from Pat Riley for the rookie. Greg Anthony followed inside by Anthony Mason. It will be Philadelphia ball.
I still feel that Greg Anthony has to concentrate on giving the ball up and taking his shots when they come after a lot of movement,
instead of working to take a shot.
Exactly.
Percy Hawkins back in for Philadelphia. Jeff Hornacek guarded by Greg Anthony. Tony Campbell picks up the rookie Weatherspoon, who is hammered by Smith. Kept alive by Charles Shackelford. He elbows inside with Smith. Hands in his face. 2 on the 24. And Hawkins blew the layup.
What a break for the Knicks.
Now comes Hubert Davis up the floor for Campbell. Anthony for Anthony Mason. Mason has been a big part of the spirit and success of this Knick comeback. Following it is Smith. Charles Smith comes away roaring after he followed it.
You know, Al, Charles Smith comes east to the Knicks with a label of being soft, according to some people. Well, he's beating that reputation to death here tonight.
12 rebounds, 7 points. The swipe by Anthony. Knicks by 4. And look at the lineup on the floor that is making this happen. Hubert Davis, Greg Anthony, Tony Campbell, Charles Smith, and Anthony Mason. Not one starter on the floor for the Knicks, except for Tony Campbell. Hornacek. And a whistle against Philadelphia. 3-second violation as Andrew Lang returns. Anthony Mason will inbound. Doc Rivers, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, 3 of the Knicks starters who are watching it now in the fourth quarter with 9:40 to go.
Boy, Pat Riley keeping his team on their toes. Greg Anthony got 14 minutes last night. He's getting all kinds of time tonight.
Anthony doing a lot of dribbling. Inside for Campbell. Greg Anthony goes for 3. And it is a call against Tony Campbell. I think that's pretty frustrating with some of the shooters on the floor that Greg Anthony is the one who winds up taking a 25-footer.
You just hope a player from one year to the next gets the message. And in an area of shot selection, Greg Anthony lapped back to last year on that particular play.
And still enjoying a run of 11-2. And Percy Hawkins was met by Hubert Davis and Anthony Mason. Foul is called. Patrick Ewing returns.
Now matchup problems for the Sixers. The Knicks go big. Smith, Ewing with Mason as a small forward now.
Jeff Hornacek on the run. Great use of the screen. But a a loose ball foul is charged inside as the shot was released. Andrew Lang is called on the foul. Doug Moe. His team getting used to him. Him getting used to his team. 9 minutes to go. It is a Knicks lead of 4. Hubert Davis. Ewing inside. Back pass Mason. 8 on the 24. Davis. Thinking hoop. Left hand.
Oh, that's special.
Oh, he's impressed people with the un-rookie-like poise throughout the preseason. Again, it's happening in the real season for Hubert Davis. Clarence Weatherspoon. Tipped and kept alive. Mason comes away. Riley says, get it up the floor.
Amazing how the Sixers shots are rolling in and out of the basket in the second half.
Charles Smith drops it off after he lost control. 10 on the 24. Greg Anthony's got a Mason screen. Hubert Davis for Charles Smith. Way off, but there's Anthony Mason again, and he is fouled on the follow.
It looks like he rocked Hornacek as well, who gets the foul called on him. He felt he was fouled by Mason. Hubert Davis comes to the Knicks as a jump shooter, a perimeter shooter. But he shows how effective he can be going to the basket with his offhand, his left hand.
10 straight field goals missed by Philadelphia. Knicks by 6.
Remember, when you're having good times with friends, use good sense and drink responsibly, because friends know when to say when.
A reminder from Budweiser. John, get your credit card ready, because beginning Tuesday, November 10th, the Play-by-Play Sports Bar and Restaurant here at the Garden will be open to the public for lunch every business day from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. It's lunch at the world's most famous arena, the Play-by-Play Sports Bar and Restaurant, only at Madison Square Garden. You can call 212-465-5888 for more information. If you've never been there, try it. It's a special place here at the Garden.
I know you hang around there, Al.
I'm a frequent visitor to Play-by-Play. Anthony Mason, his confidence is just bursting forth. Smiles on the floor, almost has a cocky look to it, and he's been everywhere. I mean, he's been involved in every big play, it seems, that the Knicks have had in the last 15 minutes in one form or another. And the Knicks now lead 78-70, and after a first quarter in which the teams were sizzling, things have cooled off, to say the least, for both teams.
Meanwhile, the Knicks defense once again is telling the story.
Charles Smith, and another shot goes in and out for Philadelphia. They've missed 11 straight from the floor. Knicks enjoying a 15-2 run as a result of the Sixer misfortunes. Mason posting up on Weatherspoon. And Anthony's going to take it out to Anthony. Hubert Davis. Oh, it's a charmed beginning for Davis. Slam. A three-point play on the drive and a couple of shots, and it's 80-70, Knicks by 10.
I don't believe that touched rim. Splashing of the nets. Finally, they get one to fall from Hershey Hawkins.
And quite a collision underneath between Andrew Lang and Greg Anthony, and Lang looks like he came away the worst for it.
The thing to watch now is how Ewing and Smith work out their relationship on offense so that they don't get in each other's way. Charles Smith has expressed that he will be very sensitive to Ewing and give him his room, so it'll be interesting to see how this develops.
It is the third illegal defense call against Philadelphia. It will be a technical foul, and look who's going to take it. Hubert Davis is sent to the line.
And the fans approve.
Oh, this is a great night for him. Check his pulse. Hubert Davis comes off the bench for the Knicks and has 7 extremely quick points. Just under 7 minutes to go as the Knicks now lead at 81-72. The Sixers had an 8-point lead in the third.
Al, he's also been doing a nice job defensively on Hornacek,
who has been, John, and you're right, a lot more quiet in this game since Hubert Davis entered it and picked him up defensively. You know, there was that time a few minutes ago where we were talking about Hornacek and how his numbers seem to be deceiving for the effect he's had on the game, or at least the apparent effect, and yet he hasn't been involved nearly as much since Hubert Davis came off the bench for the Knicks. Greg Anthony trying to use the Ewing pick, and that's deflected out of bounds. Philadelphia ball.
Ewing likes to pass from outside, but that came a little too quick for him to handle. Pass from Davis.
More minutes for Greg Grant off the bench. Johnny Dawkins is on the Sixer bench, but an injury in the preseason. No duty last night, and Doug Moe still not confident to go with Johnny Dawkins here again tonight.
He told me before the game he was not going to play him, even if Dawkins said he was ready. He just wants to make sure.
3 on the 24. A swarming Knick defense, and a swipe at the buzzer. And this is a rule that makes me crazy.
Charles Smith is so demonstrative in his
he really is.
enthusiastic response to their defensive success.
And here's a look at the pressure. And right at the 24-second clock, the Knicks come away with the steal, but then they're denied the advance.
See, Smith played such an important role there because he delayed the man with the ball so the shorter man could get there. And he's 6'10". He was really moving those feet.
10 on the 24 for the Knicks, using time as Anthony looks to give a return for Charles Smith. And that goes out of bounds off of one of the newest Knicks. Tim Perry back in for the Philadelphia 76ers. Just under 6 minutes to go, and the Knicks bench doing it, to say the least. Outscoring the Sixers bench 41-18. Revealing once again the depth that has been so talked about for this Knicks squad.
Davis with a near steal.
5 on the 24. Every time up the floor, the Knicks are forcing the Sixers to play beat the buzzer.
Fine shot by Hawkins. He was well played by Greg Anthony.
Percy Hawkins with 18 points to lead the way for the Philadelphia 76ers. Greg Anthony looks inside for Ewing. Ewing drawing 2 defenders.
Nice move by Ewing, faking the pass to the first cutter.
Greg Anthony has the shot, but he's got a big man guarding him. Goes for it anyway, and the fall-away fall. At the other end, Percy Hawkins thinks he has the hot hand, but Anthony Mason comes off with the miss. Now just under 5 minutes to go. The Knicks extending 9 points as their lead. On the 24. Ewing is open. Greg Grant looking for Weatherspoon. He runs into Greg Anthony, and that is what? An offensive foul. Anthony can do that so well. And a timeout has been called here at the Garden with 4 minutes and 36 seconds to go.
Three-point field goals. The Sixers 1 for 6. Usually better than that. The Knicks, however, much better. 3 out of 6 from long range for the Knicks tonight.
But Don, compared to the feeling of last night, you know, the Knicks have to have a completely different feel. Yet, you know, in an NBA season, there are going to be nights when things don't click, which they certainly didn't for the first 75% of this game. But if the Knicks are going to feel as this season moves along that they've moved to that next level, they've got to beat teams like Philadelphia who are far below them in terms of talent. And it seems as though that the Knicks just have too much depth for Philadelphia to stay with them for an entire game.
It's the way it looks now, Al, certainly. And once again, Pat Riley, by tinkering with the lineup, is coming up with good things.
Hubert Davis, some of the fans who wanted him to shoot it. Patrick Ewing was met by a bunch of Sixers. Good hustle by Charles Smith, but there's Greg Grant. He's thinking 3, and he's nailing it with 4:11 to go. It is 83-77.
Looks like Greg Grant has found an NBA home at last.
Played 22 games with the Knicks 2 seasons ago. Brief time at Charlotte. And then finally Philadelphia. Race to the ball. There's Greg Grant again. Back is Hubert Davis. Percy Hawkins makes it a 4-point big lead.
Meanwhile, Andrew Lang continues to harass Ewing when he lines up his shot.
Ewing had trouble looking and finding someone open. And so the Knicks use up a 20-second timeout. Greg Grant certainly became active in the last second. Well, Tuesday night, we could be looking at a rivalry for the future as Chuck Daly's New Jersey Nets come to the Garden. We'll have it for you right here at MSG, beginning with Knicks game night at 7 o'clock. And as Daly takes on Riley, and that'll be played up a lot, the New Jersey Nets, who certainly are feeling pretty good about themselves, will want to do it here at the Garden.
For the first time, there's a real feeling of neighborhood rivalry between the Knicks and the Nets. It's been almost happening over the years, but this year it's for real. And it extends, as you mentioned, Al, right to the coaching staff.
It will. Who's got the better knot tied? Now the Sixers answering the Knick run, which I think at its peak was 17-2, with a 7-2 run of their own. We're at 3:35 and counting. Knicks up by 4. It is Charles Smith with Patrick Ewing and Anthony Mason. At the guards, Greg Anthony and Hubert Davis. A long run for this unit on the floor. Another 3-second violation that has been plaguing the Knicks throughout the game.
Well, Mason was working hard to take Witherspoon down low, and he dug himself into that three-point area and got in trouble.
Chance for the Sixers now to make this a very interesting final 3 minutes. Mason slapped it away, comes away with the steal. Looking for Anthony, who is met and followed by Anthony Mason again. Tongue wagging as he comes out smiling.
I couldn't tell if that was a pass from Greg Anthony to Mason, but it had that look to it, and if it was certainly beautifully timed.
14 points for Anthony Mason, 10 rebounds, so a double-double for him. Almost another steal. Hubert Davis. Off the mark is Andrew Lang, and Ewing flips it to Anthony. 2.5 to go. Knicks by 6. Greg Anthony draws Andrew Lang. That leaves Ewing guarded by 5'7" Greg Grant. And the ball gets deflected out with 5 seconds on the 24.
Looking at that last play inside, the quick hands of Anthony Mason causing the deflection. He pushes the ball up court, gives it to Greg Anthony. Looks like he was rejected, and Anthony Mason's aggressiveness got him in the right position for that follow-up. Al, meanwhile, the Sixers have scored 27 points in the second half after 52 in the first.
Anthony Mason missing from long distance. That gives the ball to Philadelphia. 10 on the 24 for Greg Grant. He moves to the hoop, double pumps, and is fouled by Greg Anthony. Under 2 to go here. Let's go to Mike Crispino.
Alan John at Boston Garden. The Rangers had a 2-0 lead, but with less than 3 minutes remaining, Bruins on the power play. Ray Bourque to Dmitry Voltarnov, and he stuffs it past Mike Richter. A 2-2 final in Boston.
Okay, Mike, hate those ties now. Just hate it when they tie.
Meanwhile, Al, the Sixers have scored 32 points in the first quarter alone tonight. And they're 5 away from that right now in the entire second half.
Big miss right there from Greg Grant at the line. And Patrick Ewing actually takes the broom to dry off a wet spot on the floor. 1 minute, 59 seconds to go. And Greg Grant does a 50% job from the free throw line. It is 85-80. Knicks once down by 8 in the third quarter. Battling back to tie at the end of 3. Here with 1:45 to go, trying to hang on to the lead. And it'll be a night for the benchmen to celebrate if the Knicks can win. Out of bounds off Philadelphia. 7 on the 24.
Takes a big man like Charles Smith to appreciate how to deliver the ball to another big man, and he threw a nice catchable bounce pass into Ewing.
Big lesson tonight for Hubert Davis, learning that he should be ready at all times. I doubt he thought he'd see many minutes tonight, but he's out there for at least a quarter. 1:41 to go, Knicks by 5. Albert along with John Andres. We have 1:41 to go in this one with the Knicks with the ball and a 5-point lead. Charles Smith looking for someone, and a 5-second violation. Philadelphia ball. Could be costly. Greg Grant guarded by Greg Anthony. Hersey Hawkins, or rather Jeff Hornacek out there with Hersey Hawkins.
Mason on Hornacek now. Talk about versatility on defense.
Well, Mason's loving it. He's smiling as he looks at Hornacek's face, and a three-pointer.
Ron Anderson, who's done it before to the Knicks in clutch moments.
1:20 to go. It's a two-point game. Hubert Davis. And it's given away. Greg Grant comes out of it again.
John Starks ready to check in.
Ron Anderson drives, looks for Hornacek. Anthony tries to poke it away. And a rebound is grabbed by the Knicks, but a foul is called against the Sixers. John Starks back into the game. And he is replacing Charles Smith. You know, Hubert Davis looked over and said, oh, I guess I'm gone. And John Starks and Patrick Ewing grabbed him and said, not yet.
Tactical change by Pat Riley. Going to the three-guard attack.
Well, he's answering the three-guard play of Doug Moe with Greg Grant, Hornacek, and Hersey Hawkins out there. 1 minute left, and the Knicks lead down to 2. You know, John, I see Ron Anderson hit that three, and I don't know if there's a better story in this league of guys who overcame the art. 21 years old, grocery clerk, playing sandlot hoops out in California, never played basketball in high school. A friend says, you know, you ought to go to college, and here he comes. And Patrick Ewing misses from the line.
Patrick seems to be very stiff in his foul shooting form tonight, not fluid.
Timeout on the floor. The Knicks still leading by 2. 1 minute to go.
60 ticks left here in the home opener for the Knicks. Their lead over the Sixers is only 2, and Patrick Ewing will have one more chance at the free throw line. And free throws have killed the Knicks tonight, 16 of 26, while the Sixers answer with a rather respectable 79%. Now, Ewing on the evening, 2 for 5 from the line. He has missed his last 3 from the floor. Andrew Lang has given him fits. He's also shot from the outside at 6 for 17. He is 0 for the trip to the line. He's missed his last 4. 55 seconds left. It's a 2-point game. Greg Grant guarded by Anthony. Ron Anderson wants the ball and drains it. Tied at 85 with 45 seconds to go. Knicks need a hero. Mason on the floor with the rookie Davis. Patrick Ewing with Starks. Greg Anthony with a big shot.
Greg winning the confidence of his team with a shot like that.
Hornacek with 25 to go. Anderson for 3. Way off. Ewing could not save the rebound, and it will be Sixer ball. Well, Ron Anderson in the last couple of minutes almost possessed, desperately wanting the ball and desperately wanting to shoot. Knicks lead is 2, 19.9 to go. Well, there's the story in this rather tense home opener for the Knicks. Their lead is 2 and 19.9 seconds remain. Here's the timeout story. Knicks with 2 full, Sixers with 1 apiece. Greg Anthony giving the Knicks the lead with the seconds counting down in this one.
Ewing responding nicely to the triple team, giving it back to Greg Anthony, and he was on target. Under pressure, Anderson taking the big shot in and out of Patrick Ewing's hand. What frustration for him.
Some performances of note. Greg Anthony's 12 points. Mason 14 points, 11 rebounds. It's all come down to the last 19.9 seconds. 10 on the 24 for Philadelphia. And Jeff Hornacek finds himself all alone underneath and blows the layup. And a foul against Philadelphia. I'll give him that shot 100 more times. It'll make it 100 times.
What a great drive, too. He sailed around John Starks, who's a fine defender. John right up on Hornacek. Terrific drive. Ewing right on the case, though, and he's got to snap out of the slump right now.
Patrick with 4 points in the second half. Spent a lot of it on the bench, and he breaks the drought and gives the Knicks a 3-point lead. And the Sixers are going to want to use their 22nd timeout.
Ewing smiling, looking back at the Sixer bench.
They may have been riding him.
Timeout, yes. Also a call to get Ewing to think about the second shot. He's been around long enough to let that affect him. Hornacek setting himself up in the closing moments. The last time they had the ball, tough drive. He gets that left shoulder around Starks, in for the shot. As you mentioned, Al, it'll be a long time before he misses one like that again. You know, Doug Moe told me before the game, I just hope we play well. I hope we play tough. What he was saying is, I hope we don't get blown out here by the Knicks in their home opener.
Well, he's gotten his wish and more.
He certainly has. This Sixer team is showing a lot better quality than people thought.
13.2 seconds to go. Here's Ewing. Knicks lead is 4 with 13.2. Percy Hawkins guarded by Hubert Davis. The night he'll never forget. Greg Grant rejected by Greg Anthony. This'll do it. And a whistle with 3.2 seconds to go.
You know, I got to point out, Greg Anthony, after that play, continues to limp. And he just didn't manufacture that now. He's been limping somewhat throughout much of the second half. And what's interesting is Pat Riley's staying with him.
Well, I think they've both decided that he's going to have to play with this pain. The hand evidently is not something that's going to heal as he continues to play in practice.
As long as he limps when the ball is dead.
And not when he's running.
But during play, the limp seems to go away.
Well, Hubert Davis steps to the line, and that one's in and out. And that was Hubert's first miss. He was 2 for 2 from the floor, and now he's 3 for 4 from the line.
Very big moments in this young man's career. He has been a very important part of the Knicks comeback.
And he goes 0 for 2, and a timeout has been called with 2.1 seconds to go. It is Philadelphia's chance to talk it over.
And now it's dinner for our favorite food critic.
Everything was wonderful.
Something else to drink, monsieur.
Yes. Make it a Bud Light, please.
I'm sorry, monsieur. We have run out.
Really? Well, that does change things a bit, doesn't it?
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Billy's Chili. Quaint atmosphere.
Is that a tip or did you just lose some change?
Charming service.
What a race. First in the Far East, Middle East. First in Europe and Africa. Yes! DHL's first worldwide.
An independent study proves DHL delivers packages around the world before either Federal Express or UPS. Research confirms DHL is faster to more of the world.
We're back live and still waiting for second place. Oh, here they come now.
Where do Saints pray to be on Sunday nights?
In your face.
Yeah. Hey, Boomer, where can I see a Bengal roar?
In your face.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL. Every week, it's where the best go face-to-face.
In your face.
In your face.
When the stars come out, ESPN is in your face. ESPN Sunday Night NFL.
Well, there's one Sixer we did not see tonight. Ex-Knick Eddie Lee Wilkins. And if Doug Moe saw any value in the fact that Eddie Lee knows Patrick Ewing's game inside and out, he didn't go with it tonight. We have 2.1 seconds to go here at the Garden. The Knicks leading by 4, 89-85.
It's good reason, too, because Andrew Lang pushed Ewing into one of his poorest shooting nights. Lang played him very well.
Yeah, Ewing finishing up at 6 for 17, but 14 points and 15 rebounds. Charles Smith, 7 points, 12 rebounds. And here what the Knicks hope, the final few ticks of the clock. Patrick Ewing just slaps it away.
Do I believe a lead pass to the shortest man on the court under the basket?
With Ewing in front, in between the 2 points.
Greg Grant.
And now the clock shows 0.3 of a second.
Grant is 5'7".
That'll do it. The New York Knicks are 2-0. They've won their home opener here at the Garden. And in his NBA debut, Hubert Davis makes an impact. Coming off the bench, part of a unit really off the bench that saved this game for the Knicks tonight. Down by 8 in the third quarter. They battle back to tie at the end of 3. and push a lead in the fourth quarter that was tested right to the buzzer by this Philadelphia 76ers team that the Knicks won't see again until January. Bruce Beck will be along, and our post-game coverage will continue on MSG after this.
On the season, they beat the Philadelphia 76ers in the home opener at the Garden. Final score 89-85. But it was not easy down the stretch. A couple of big plays. First of all, Greg Anthony with the score tied at 85. Penetrates, pulls up, and nails the jumper to put New York up 87-85. And then for the 76ers, it was Jeff Hornacek who had killed the Knicks all night long. Watch him make the move to the hoop, low by his man, but then Hornacek misses the easy shot down low. Knicks get the rebound, and they go on to win it by 4, 89-85. So the Knicks with a big run, bridging the third and fourth quarters. It was 17-2. They went up by a score of 80-70. But the 76ers came back to tie the score at 85, and then the late game heroics by Greg Anthony, and it was followed by another 2 points, Patrick Ewing hitting a couple of free throws. But a lot of interesting scenarios for the Knicks tonight. First of all, the unit that put the Knicks together and put them ahead was Campbell, Mason, Smith, Davis, and Anthony, an unlikely 5. So the Knicks showing some versatility, and it was one of the reasons they came up with the victory tonight. This is the 7th consecutive time they have beat the 76ers at the Garden. Philly opens the season now after losing last night to New Jersey and losing to the Knicks tonight. The 76ers are now 0-2. We'll take a short break. We'll come back and we'll hear from Coach Pat Riley. All that and more in just a moment.
Think all camcorders are the same?
Garden, where the Knicks have defeated the Philadelphia 76ers by a final score of 89-85. The Coca-Cola Classic player of the game is Anthony Mason, who finishes with 14 points and 11 rebounds. And I'll tell you, more than that, he was the man that really took over the ball game late in the third quarter and early in the fourth. Defensive tenacity, you bet. Offensive prowess, no doubt about it. Ability to bring the ball up the court, yes, sir, indeed. Find the open man, that's Mason, as he finds Anthony on the penetration, then follows the shot up. And Anthony Mason was a workaholic for the Knicks in that second half of play. Philadelphia in the first half scored 52. In the second half, they scored just 33 points. And from the field in the second half, they shot just 27%. Last night, Pat Riley said the difference in the ball game was Knicks defense. There was no doubt tonight that Knicks defense, again, provided the club with their W, their second in 2 nights. Once again, some individual scores to talk about in the ball game. Lots of balance for the Knicks. Leading scorer summary brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealers. Patrick Ewing with 16 points and 16 boards. Anthony Mason, 14 and 11. 12 points for Greg Anthony. He played well in the second half. Oakley at 8. And look at the rest of the balance. 4 players with 7 points. By the way, Charles Smith had 12 rebounds. And Hawkins leading the way for the Sixers with 20 points. Pat Riley is addressing the press. Let's go to the conference right now.
Before the game, exactly the kind of team they're going to play against. A team that keeps coming at you and keeps coming at you. Low-scoring game, obviously, but I think a tribute again to our defense to hold them to 85 because of how much emotion they have. But it's a great win because we had to endure, really struggled from an offensive standpoint, missing free throws, and I think the message that we have to convey to the players is that I think with this kind of depth that we have and the talent that we have, that it's going to be somebody else every night, which is the beauty of it, at least early. Hubert giving us a big lift, and then Greg playing consistently for about 15 minutes, and Charles making a couple of big blocks. I think that's what this team is going to be about. And once the players understand that with the kind of depth that we have and the fact that they're used to playing a lot, that there might be nights that's going to be somebody else. And I think that will be the biggest breakthrough for us. So it was just a good win at home. Not a pretty game, but it was a win. And that's all it's about. Any questions?
Do you think the sluggishness before the fourth quarter on offense for both teams?
I mean, both teams were playing hard. You know, I mean, they run a lot, they move a lot. You got to defend for 24 seconds. I thought we did an exceptional job defensively, just exceptional. You know, we just did not shoot the ball well, and you know, didn't really execute extremely well. But that's what happens when you play against a running team that moves, and you put so much emphasis at the defensive end. Sometimes it does take something away at the other end of the court.
Are the players starting to realize that every night is going to be...
I don't know. No, they probably don't. But it's only our second game. But I think, you know, down in Atlanta it was Tony. Tonight it was about 3 other guys. Gave us enough of a lift. I thought Rolando, you know, coming in and hitting a 3 and hitting another tough jumper. You know, so if we can just get that kind of contribution without guys, you know, feeling like they may not be getting the kind of time they want, then we'll develop a nice rotation.
It seemed like you were rotating early and often in the game to play.
I really waited a while because you like to have guys sort of play through it a little bit, you know, but I just thought somebody yelled Hubert's name to me behind the bench. It must have been his dad was here or something. And he did a nice job for it. Here's a guy that's a rookie that came into a game where we're down and makes play after play. So it was a very impressive debut for him.
Were you surprised that he came in and was so comfortable?
No. You know, like in, I think like in anything, there's a rite of passage, you know. There's certain rituals for, you know, kids that sort of get pushed out into society, and also to rookies who get pushed into the lineup. They have to, you know, there's other guys ahead of them. You know.
Pat, were you impressed with Lang's defense on Patrick?
Yeah. Yeah, he's good. You know, he's a good defensive player, big jumper, very strong. And then they probably and will always, because they play small, swarm the ball. And so there are a number of times they were right down in Patrick's lap. And when you're a post-up team and you play against a team that's going to swarm the post and trap the post, and you don't hit a number of perimeter shots, then, you know, it's like pulling teeth. It's going to be hard. You got to get second shots. I thought we dug out a lot of things. You know, Mace making some big plays, and that's what I feel good about. I feel good about a team that played poorly and dug out a win, regardless of where it was.
The last 33 points in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, we went, you know, dead in the water in the last 3 minutes, 4 minutes of the half, and the first 4 or 5 minutes of the third period, just for about, you know, 10 minutes. We just couldn't get anything going. And then some guys hit a couple of shots.
I've seen that Charles Smith had some big minutes in the fourth, defensively and stepping up, and he also seemed to show a lot of emotion.
He does, doesn't he? He gets excited.
The Coaches Conference brought to you by the New York Times. So the Knicks winners tonight at the Garden over Philadelphia. It was not easy, but they came up big down the stretch. Anthony gets the game-winning bucket, and we'll be back with more of our post-game show.
Here's the only beer with the taste as genuine as the people who drink it. Nothing beats a buzz.
And tonight's Bud Dunk of the game goes to Anthony Mason. Mason getting good position underneath. There's that pump move, powers to the bucket, and uses the right hand assertively for 2 points. One of the other stories tonight was Hubert Davis got his first chance to play in the NBA, and he made the most of his opportunity. He hit his first shot from the field, and it wasn't an easy one, using the left hand, going down the lane and putting it up and in. And Hubert Davis has joined us courtside. Congratulations, finally got some playing time. What went through your mind last night when you had to sit on the pine, and then tonight when you got your chance?
Well, of course, I'm a competitor, and I wanted to get in, but, you know, I know I'm the rookie on the team, and, you know, I have to pay my dues. And I'm just going to work hard in practice and try to learn things from John Starks and Orlando Blackman. Tonight I got the opportunity to play, and things seem to go pretty well.
The difference from the first couple of seconds when you were on the court to 5, 6, 8 minutes down the line?
I was a little nervous at the beginning. You know, my first time playing in the NBA, and it had to be at home in the Garden. My father was here. I was a little nervous. Once I got hit a couple times in the lane, I woke up, and things went pretty well.
So Coach Pat Riley in the coaches conference after the game said, when he was asked why did he put Hubert Davis in the ball game, he said, I heard somebody in the crowd yelling, put him in, and I thought it might be Hubert's dad.
Well, if he listens to the crowd, then I'm going to tell my dad to start screaming a little bit more.
Hubert, technical foul. Pat Riley sent you to the free throw line to shoot it. What did that do for your confidence?
It felt really good up there. You know, just to hit a couple free throws, to get a little loose, get a feel of the ball, does a lot for a player, and that made me feel better throughout the game.
Playing with a team with so much depth, how are you handling it?
Tremendously. I think it's an incredible position that I'm in. You know, it's a very difficult transition from college to professional basketball, and to learn from these guys each day in practice, I can't get any better competition.
All right, when you look back at your first big ball game in the NBA, what's going to come to your mind?
A win.
That's unselfish, Hubert.
Win.
Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hubert Davis finishes the ball game with 7 points, 2 for 2 from the field, 3 for 5 from the free throw line. You better work at some free throws, Hubert. But otherwise, I think you played a solid game. Knicks win it. Hubert Davis, a big reason why, and we'll be back in a moment.